Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. So part 2 of my Christmas tag project. Now if you've just found me, what I'm attempting to do is make a series of tags for Christmas gifts that will be holding in behind the tag a small gift or a letter or a gift card. It's just somewhere to tuck a little gift to give some of my friends and family at Christmas. And as I said in the first video, I'm going to be using Rachel's new tags, which are from Roxy Creations. It's her new Christmas tags, and the tag is going to be attached to the reverse side of the tag. So I've backed my printed tag onto cardboard, and then I'm making the fabric portion of the tag which will attach to this side, and I'm leaving a little slit here on the side to tuck the Christmas gift. Now let me get myself situated here. Now in the first video I laid out all the tags. I've since stitched them all. So I'll just go through what I did. I did a whip stitch around the outside. Didn't make it too perfect looking. I wanted to make it feel more rustic, like a repaired piece of clothing. So it's just to give the element of, what's the word I'm looking for? Rusticness? I don't know. So you can sort of see that I've just done running stitch around some of the patches, overcast stitch around the edge, and the pieces that fray easily, like this thicker piece here, they got some over stitch. This one here, we've got a little gap where it didn't quite match up, but that doesn't matter because the next stage will fix that anyway. So there they are, all stitched. Look, I've missed a line here, so we'll have to keep that in mind when we get back to it. But they came together quite quickly. So I've got a heap of them. I don't need all of them for Christmas. They got a few extras, so it'll be great to have them just in my box where I keep all my Christmas cards, so that if I did want to pull one out, I could probably make it into, I'm just going to get rid of this bracelet. I went to a very early Christmas party and put on a nice bracelet, and now it's chinking, and I've kept it on for a day or so because, you know, it makes a change, doesn't it? But it's going to annoy me and very much annoy you as it chinks on my mat. So let's get rid of that. Okay, now, in addition to doing this, I actually decorated too. I just wanted to have a little play just to make sure this crazy idea actually works. So let's bring them into the field of view so you can see where we're heading. Okay, now, what did I learn from it? Not a lot. It did come together reasonably well. I think having done the Anne Brooks project, 52 tags, a year or so ago, sort of gave me the confidence just to go for it. So I couldn't for a few days work out what my feature was going to be. I didn't have any little Santas that suited, or random images and reindeer, and I sort of stumbled around for a few days, and then I just decided to stick with nature, bring a little bit of gold into it, hence the gold thread. Some sequins for a little bit of sparkle. These guys were chosen. And then a more neutral, just tipped them out, a more neutral bead, and I've just tipped them everywhere. I forgot the lid wasn't on. I haven't been in here for a day, and now I've tipped me beads everywhere, for goodness sakes. Okay, let's get this back under control. So yeah, it's pretty much going to have a nature theme, random stitches, couching, some gold work, some beads. So kept keeping it simple, and I'm going to stay within the same palette. I think what I like about that is, let's say that one of these is used for a birthday next year. well, then I just put it onto a different card and I'm ready for a little birthday gift. So that's the plan. To get the Christmas element, it's on the back. So these have already been attached to the back of the tag, so they're ready to go. Now, the gift from Grace is the majority of my gifts. If you've just tuned in, I've purchased for a group of people within my family and friends a gift from Grace. Now, what I've got, and they've arrived, so this has sort of gave me the kick up the butt I needed to get onto this project. So we've got some pig packages, a house, a couple latrines, to sow a field, so tools and seeds. There's the second latrine. All the boys are getting latrines, some chicken packages so that they can start a small chicken farm. Now, within this gift is a bauble. See this bauble here? It pops out. And that allows you to hang it on a Christmas tree. So what my plan is pop that bauble out. The rest of that card can just be handed to them after the fact. Mind you, everyone sort of knows what these gifts are within my circle, because I do it probably every 3, maybe every 4 years. I do this for a change, especially when I don't feel like going to a shopping centre. These sort of come in really handy as little gifts. So the bauble gets popped out and it's very yellow. So what I ended up doing is adding a little bit of a lace topper. I glued it first and then popped a few little stitches in there. So it's like a tag with a topper now. And then that can slide in there like that. So that's their little gift, and they can pull that out. They can still attach that to their tree if they wanted, or leave it in their little tag. So it seems to all work, my little theory. And I've still got room that I can put in a gift card if I wanted. And the same thing, I might put a little bit of lace on the side of the gift card just to give them something for their fingers to grab. So that's where we're heading. Now, as for the decoration, I sort of am using scraps too. I'm trying to use anything that I can out of this bucket of bits. It's all the bits left from my projects from the year. So there's all sorts of memories in there for me as I'm rummaging through, creating some form of floral element, like a feature floral, and then backfilling it with just some little florally bits, sprigs, grasses, and then in a few little spots I'm creating just a random little cluster of things, dangling extra laces off the side, and then doing a little tag for the top that allows you to hold on to it. Okay, like a topper. So there's our feature piece. I had one of those left, so that became a little flower, little organza thing, and then just a couple stitches, a little bit of gold work. I don't know if you can see, there's a few little leaves in there off of that flower, just keeping it really random. A little bit of lace from an old handkerchief, and a little bit extra on the bottom, a little flower down there as well. And then when I attached it, I end up putting a second flower. I need to stitch a few little beads there. Oh, it was still wet with glue when I attached it all, so I can now come back in and stitch those. So that's a little job yet to do. And then on the back of this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful card. Okay, so we have 2 done. So what I want to do in the next probably 2 videos, maybe 3, we'll see how we go, is show you my process. So step by step. Now, we laid down the background, we drew around them, we laid down all of these neutral pieces ready to be stitched, so they are ready to go. Cut out, finished. So now it's the embellishing stage. Now, what I like to do next is add some text. Now, if you've got some fabric, which is some words printed on it, antique words, or some music, which is what I've chosen for my tags, that's the next element. So that one that has that little hole, we will grab him out as well and we will fix him. There he is. And we're going to just cut a small piece of fabric for the, where's my scissors? We're going to grab them and just add it's just a case of finding a spot that you think it looks good in. Now, we didn't think too much about how everything was laid down, which makes it even more fun because now's your time to sort of connect the dots, so to speak. So I'm going to, I might even cut that down smaller. I think I just want a hint of it up the top there. So that will go there. Okay, it's just a hint of it, and then I will stitch around it, whether we do overcast or running stitch, doesn't really matter. This one here, I think we need a bigger piece for there because that's such a long piece. So let's grab another one and just rough it up a little bit. Really enjoying making these because I'm not having to think too much. I can pick them up at any time. I hope I have enough flowers in me to pull it off. Or am I going to run out of flower ideas? I don't know. See, that was missing there? We missed the stitch. I'll bring it up to the camera. There's no stitches there. So I'm going to put the music there. I love how they're all different. Now I'm also in a tag challenge, so I've been allocated a lady's name and one of these tags will go to her as well. So it was a really handy little project that I was starting for myself, and then when I got approached to join in with this tag challenge, I thought, easy, we can do that. It's just a case of lay it down, see where you like it, and put a pin in it. Might put that one down the bottom there. Something different. Where's my pin? Okay. Let's just take a morsel this way. Might square that up. You don't have to square it all up, but I don't know, I'm sort of doing that a bit with this project. Everything seems to be fairly orderly. They're not too random. Okay. Another one. That's perfect for a flower, isn't it? Okay, so I don't have any more fabric left, but that's okay. I can get some more when we're finished filming because I think there's 2 left, yeah. So there's our random piece. Okay. Is it handy by any chance? Is that fabric handy? Just rummaging through my scraps. So you could even use a print, see, like that. Why don't we do a couple with the print? Just a pop of something. Now, being that I'm working on neutral, I'm going to stay within these tones, but you could bring in pieces like this. You could bring in some florally elements. You know, you could do so much with them. So you could, oh goodness, I tell you, the mind boggles at the colours that could come from this. Okay, let's put that one there. I might just trim that down a little bit so it's more rectangular, because this is such a big rectangular piece here. I'll pin that there. Okay, looking good. Now the other thing I like to do next is put a little bit of background lace in. Now what I mean by that is on this one, I don't know if you can see it, there's a little piece in behind there of tulle. You can just see it on my finger there. So I just laid that down there, and then this one had this background piece of lace in behind the gold work. There's like a little piece there. So what I'm going to do now is just grab out some of these laces, like some of these, and just lay down a piece of lace. For no reason or anything in particular, it's just to add another piece of texture. So don't think about it, just lay it down. Okay, what have we got here? Another morsel, we could trim this. There's that music fabric, I just spotted it. Maybe we'll tuck that underneath. The great thing with this is I don't know where it's heading. I don't know what design's going to be on here yet. It's just laying it down, and it doesn't matter because it just becomes part of the layers. Now we need a little bit more. I've been wanting to do something. Let me move those over to the side. So they've got their feature piece of fabric and their feature piece of lace. This one here, I've been wanting to put morsels of that down. It's so beautiful. And it's these bits that are hanging around. I might put it on this one. Oh, no, this one. Nice and long. I'll put it over the side there, just as a little, hello fudge. The fudge has just arrived. He's a bit meow-meowy this morning. Well, he's always meow-meowy. It's never a morning he's not. That big square is throwing me off. It's like, that's going to be a flower, but then where do I put a feature piece of lace? So I'm sort of thinking it needs to be around the perimeter. So I'm just going to move on to this one, put its lace on. So I've sort of got a bit of a pattern happening here. I think that might be a good piece for up there. That'll break up that square a bit, but we do know it's there due to the rest of it. So now, what other bits of lace have we got? Might have to go rummaging in our box of goodies. There's a piece, but it's a little bit yellow. There'll be something here, surely. That's the one that I use to make the tag at the top. that little shape there was what I put around the top of that one. So I'll grab that out because that made a fantastic little tag topper. Here we go. This is what we need. Bit of this, and a bit of that. Oh, it's so good to get rid of some of these morsels that are sitting around. That's a good shape there. That's not a flower, the start of a flower, that. Might just keep that out. Might put that there and I might lift that onto it. Okay, so that's got its lace. Once you get a bit of a production going, this is quite quick. The first two that I made seem to just take forever, but I think this will come together once we start breaking down all of the different steps. Once you get your backgrounds done, look, at the end of the day, you don't need to do this next stage until you know you need them, and you might have a a birthday gift that's wrapped in wrapping paper that's red polka dots. Well, then you could do a tag that has a hint of the red on the tag just to sort of tie it all together. So you got lots of ideas there. Maybe we start our flower using this. No, I really want to put a piece of lace. Don't jump ahead, Corrine. Just finish what you're meant to be doing. This piece of work. A little bit of cream. Yep. Okay, so we've got our little hint of a feature fabric. So that would be a red polka dot, for example, instead of music, if you were tying it into something in particular. And we've got our feature piece of lace. So now it's just a case of stitching everything down. Now I won't bore you with all that because we'll run out of time. So let's just work on this particular one for now and get it to the next stage. Well, I don't know. How much will we do of this? Do I stop and come back? Let's just get this stitched down for a start. So with the lace, it's just invisible stitches. It's just a few little sneaky stitches on the top, and then on the bottom you jump across a centimetre or two and catch the lace with another tiny itty bitty stitch. Then at the back you jump across again and secure it. So for those of you who've been working through all of the needlework projects that are going around this year, you'll know what invisible stitch is all about. It's just tacking things down. It's not your feature stitches, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It is just there so that you can eliminate having pins in your work because they bite you. So I'm just scooting through the center of this lace now, and that'll really hold it. Down the bottom. Now, I had a lovely lady in a few videos ago mentioned that she had done a beautiful piece of embroidery some time ago and had used these pens to mark out her design, and to her horror, they came back. It took a little while, but it reappeared, which is really concerning because we're all using these pens, and I know for myself that the years haven't rolled on yet using these pens. So I'd probably recommend to anyone using them, don't apply a lot of pressure to your work when using them. Keep your lines and marks as pale as you can, because it sounds like these things could reappear. Now, if it's just a piece that's on a wall or something like that, where you can probably reapply some heat and it'll go away again. But imagine if it was under a frame. It's a bit of a concern. And I know for years I was using the blue pen, the water-soluble pens, when I was doing a lot of quilting. I was using them all the time and they were coming back. I was constantly wetting things to chase that stuff away. And it was like that was really good for a while, and then all these cheap knockoff pens started coming onto the market. And I sort of felt like my pens were a little bit different that I was getting, and sure enough, the ink started coming back, which is really, really disappointing. So what I'm doing now with this piece of music, the feature fabric, is just going to run around the outside of it with a little overcast stitch to hold it into position. Okay. So a little bit boring for you guys. So I might stop the video here and go through and invisible stitch all of my lace on, and then go to the music component, or those dots, and stitch on the fabric as well, because this will take a little bit, and then I can come back and we'll start working on the actual embellishing of the tag, because this is still what I would class as the background. Okay, I will see you all shortly. Won't be a moment. Okay, I'm back now. I've stitched down all of the laces, little elements on the tags. I've also stitched down the little feature patch. So that stage is now done. The next thing I want to work on is the main flower. If we have a look at these tags again, once we get this main flower in position and its stem, then we start working on the smaller little details in the garden around it. So let's do that next, and we'll see how far we get time-wise, and yeah, we'll go from there, I think. Now, I want to do another one of these ones here where I folded it and pinched it in to create this layered effect, to create the petals of this flower. So I need to find another one of those doilies. Now, if you're not sure what I'm doing, I'm using, when you get crocheted runners and doilies and things like that, that'd be really a good one for that. These little elements are often the bits that connect the doily together. So let me show you this one, for example. That's a crocheted one, and I've separated them to get this little element out, and there's heaps of them out there. They were very popular in the 90s, so you'll find them at op shops, or they were bedspreads. They're sort of a little bit everywhere now. It was a bit of a trend, so you can grab them, and wonder how this one would go. This one might be a bit dense. The crocheting's a little bit dense on it. I sort of want something lacy like this. Maybe one of those would do the trick. Let's have a look. Now the flower, the feature flower on all these tags can really be a bit of everything. You could use Suffolk puffs or yo-yos. I'm going to leave that element on that side. Let's not trim it too much, because the rougher and the more random, or so I'm going to fold that up, and then I'm just going to pinch that in a little bit, see what it looks like. Do I need to fold it? It's just have a play with it. I like that. Sort of gives the impression that there's a center to the flower. Let's have a look for, yeah, I like that. So what we'll do is I'm just going to stab it with that pin for a second, grab my needle and thread, and we're just going to stitch it down. So this one will be the crocheted medallion flower. My needle and thread, should have had that ready, but I didn't. So I'll just pop a few little stitches in there just to secure not only the medallion to the tag, but it also holds all of those folds together. Now, the next thing I want is to have a bit of a feature here of something that makes it sort of, you know, when you get a flower and you have the under little branches come up to it, sort of holds all the petals in. There's a name for it, but I can't think of it. I'm sort of looking for something that could be put in there. Let's go back to it. Look, I'm going to move these blooming beads before there's a disaster, because we don't need them. That's later. That's part of the embellishing. So we're looking for something that would make a great stem. Let's hang on to that. That little bit there is fantastic for stems to flowers. So we'll pull him out, but I need to stay focused on what I'm doing here. See that there? That's a half one that joins. That might do the trick. It's just another little element to hold it together. So let's pop that out of the way. Well, there's so many things you can do with this type of collaging of fabrics. It just makes your head spin. Well, my head's spinning. I'm like racing. It might have been the coffee I've just had. So what I'm going to do is just lay that onto there as another decorative element to the bottom of our random flower. And these flowers are great because you're not making a flower that actually looks like anything in the world, in nature. You're just creating something from nothing, and it can be whatever you want. And I always find the more you layer and the more you add, the better it begins to look. Okay, so that's now stitched on. We'll put our our needle to one side. Lovely. Sort of looking like a bit of a tulip, isn't it? So I still feel like we need something there, but let's get a stem in place. Do we want to use this little guy? Yeah, I think so. You could use all sorts of things. When you have a doily and where the doily is stitched to the linen, you see how there's that little edge there? You could cut that off and use that as your edge. Another edge there. This here crocheting, it's like the leftovers from where I've been snipping. It's like that little box stitch. That could be used. Lace in general, there's some more of that box stitch. All of those long, thin bits. You could use some sari silk and twist the sari silk. I love how that's stained. Let's put I wonder, I just had an idea. Maybe we pinch off a bit of this sari silk, then lay that on top of it. Hey, that'd be a bit of fun. Where they've dyed this sari silk, it's got like a little stained edge that caught my eye. So like I said, the more layers you add, the more interesting your piece starts to look. So let's tuck that little bit of sari silk underneath this flower a little bit there. And let's get this little guy into position on top of it. Just creates that little bit extra interest. Yeah, I love it. I love it. So I've still got my needle threaded, so I'm just going to catch those two little pieces in there, that silk and the piece of crocheting. That's why all these little itty bitty bits that are left from our slow stitch projects are so handy to have. Oh, lost the thread out of my needle. I think if you're doing a flower, make your flower over the top obnoxiously big. Don't be too small in the creation of it, because it really pops out of your tag. And remember, your tag's boundaries, you can go past your tag's boundaries. It's just a guide, if you will, this edge. Yeah, I'm loving that. Gosh, some of these bits have been on my desk all year, and I tidy up and I just throw it all in that box. I think I must be crazy. I'll never use those bits, but you do, especially with slow stitch and you're collaging elements together. There we go. So we're now down to the bottom. And there's still enough here to get another stem out of that. Let's finish that off. Now leaves, we've got a couple options. We could embroider a leaf. We could add another fabric to create a leaf. You could use some lace. Let's snip that off of there. So there's our little flower. Oh yeah, I'm liking that. So let's have a think about some form of leaf. What have we got here in the way of fabric? This little bit might be something. Let's cut a bit of a leaf. Don't overthink it. Like I said, this is just a throw it down if we don't like it. You're using scraps, like at the end of the day. Yeah, I like that. But I think it needs to be a little bit bigger. So let's put something under it. What else have we got in the way of fabrics? Can we get a bigger leaf out of that? I think we can. So let's go bigger this time. That's like the edge of a, see how it's folded over, an edge of a tea towel or something like that. Yeah, I like that. Yep. Now, what could we do? Let's do some stitches on it. We'll use the crochet cotton so that we can see it. We won't worry about invisible stitch, because we might as well make a bit of a feature of it. Let's have a little look. Can we do it straight onto the piece? I don't think I will. I'm going to do it separately because I'm thinking I'll only attach it to the tag at the bottom of the leaf. So this is sort of flapping in the wind, if you will. Maybe I'll do a little bit of a fly stitch down it. That'd be a bit of fun. At the end of the day, it's your flower and you can do whatever you like. So you could do a running stitch, you could do seed stitches, like there's so many things you can do. And if it doesn't look right to you, for some reason you just don't like it, just take it out. Don't be too precious. And I hear it all the time with other textile artists that your piece will go through an ugly stage, but the more you layer and the more you build on it, it suddenly just looks really interesting. So keep that in mind too. Don't give up too soon on it. Keep going. And it, you know, if there's a section of it you just don't like, let's say we're doing something down the corner and it just doesn't look right, we'll grab a scrap and cover it. you know, just cover it up. That's what the great artists would do. If they were painting a picture and it just didn't look right, they'd paint over the top of it and start again. There's so many works of art now that they're scanning and finding that there's this masterpiece underneath that just never came to light, and then they've painted over it, or a portion of it might have been painted out. Yeah, I'm liking that. So I've just done a little fly stitch down that leaf just for a little detail. And I'm going to just work out where I'm going to place him. I think I'm going to do him up there. Whoops. And we might as well use this thread to attach him. So I'm going to go through the tag. Whoops. Pulled him a little bit too hard. And then I'll come up, and that final stitch will look like it's holding it, but we know it's not. So I'm just going to finish that nice cotton off. Crochet cotton, pearl cotton number 8, just the cream. I'm just keeping it neutral. I just don't want to get too polarized in the creation of the color scheme. Now I just want some normal cotton, and I'm going to pop a few little sneaky invisible stitches on that petal, or that leaf, to hold him. Just so that I know he's secure. Someone gives him a little tug, he's not going anywhere. But I do want the top of it to be a little loose so that it's sort of a little bit 3D. I'll come through the center of the tag a little bit, of the leaf. So if you were mass making these and sort of following a theme, there's no reason why you couldn't make a heap of these little leaves and have them all made different sizes, and then you've got these little great decorator elements that you can just add to your tags. Okay, so that flops around a little bit there, that flops around, I like that. This gives you that 3D element. Okay. So there's our feature flower. That's all I'm going to do on that tag for now. Lovely. All right, let's put him to one side and let's do another flower. Okay, next tag. So let's do something with this. I like how it's got that circular feel. So let's just trim that up, and let's make a bit of a cluster. Something that could be layer upon layer. I'm wondering what there is in here. So I don't mind that either. That's a little morsel from somewhere. Underneath or on top. I'm thinking underneath. I'm not going to trim it. Let's just let all those bits hang out. Okay. Now what else can we add? I've got a little bit of this soft fabric here. So I'm just giving it a bit of a rough shape cut. So that'll lie in there, and maybe we pinch it together a bit to make a petal. What does that look like? Oh yeah, I like that. What I might do is get my thread happening here, because it's starting to get a few layers. And I want to be able to secure them. I like that. It's nearly like a petal. Let's just get our needle going here and stitch that down so we know that they're in position. Now we're covering up some of the details from behind on the back of the tag. That's okay, doesn't matter. It's just what collaging is all about. I'm going to cut another one of those. So I did a rough rough circle, and then I put a little pinch into the bottom of it to cluster. Let's just pinch that again. I like how it's got that petal look. Never done this before, so I'm loving that. And like I said before, if this looks silly and we don't like it, we just remove it. So I'm going to put another couple little stitches there. So that's 2. Now technically you should do the rule of 3. But when it comes to slow stitch, that sometimes doesn't really matter because it's layers of things. Yeah, I like that. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Now let's see if we can find a feature element. I have some of those flowers left. There's one. I'm going to cut that out. This came from a doily, and it was like an edge around a centerpiece that I've used somewhere. I can't remember, but it's been a little strip of them rolling around on my desk, and they're pre-stitched by a big sewing machine somewhere in the world. I should have smaller scissors, and they're just great for, you know, adding 2 things. So if you ever see in an op shop, yeah, like if you didn't think that was a flower, you do now, and then in behind it is all these little bits. I'm going to add a little bit of that tulle. Where was it? Why not? Just cut a little petal shape. And I'm going to pop that on top of that like so. You can't see it, but there's the little bit of tulle sitting over the top of those little petal-like things. Where'd my flower get to? So here. And now I've lost the thread of my needle. Okay, so let's just pop a few stitches in there to hold all that. So there's another large flower ready to go. How easy was that? It's just bits, so whoever gets this tag will be able to flip through all those layers and sort of see what has she added there. So now let's look for a stem to put on our flower. So we've still got our needle threaded, so let's see what we could use. Tuck that underneath. Piece of cross stitch. So that was trimmed off of a piece of Aida cloth when I was cross stitching those birds. It's a little bit thin, but it might be able to have something layered under it. So it's a sort of creating I do like it for some reason. Like that flower in real life would seriously fall over, wouldn't it? What could I put under that? Do I just get a piece of fabric that's frayed? See that there? Maybe I just do a little bit like that. I'm thinking I want a little bit of shape in it. Curve it around. Yeah, I like that. It's just layers upon layers. So I'm going to try and pick that up and just put some little stitches in there to couch that down. And of course, couching is overstitching an element that you've laid down. So let's say some yarn or something. Actually, I've just had an idea. I'm just going to get this secured. I think I want to add something else to this stem. But let's get it at least secured a little. Because I've got some Appleton thread here. This one here. So I'm thinking of putting another layer. Maybe we do our leaves and stem in Appleton now over the top of all these little elements. I wonder if someone gets this tag, would they recognize this tiny little slither of Ada cloth here that I'm stitching on? I'll bring it up to the camera so you can see. But crazy for keeping it, but it's just perfect for that little slither we were looking for. Okay, so that's now secure. So I'll bring that up to the camera. Can you see that? Just this tiny slither, and then underneath it is this little furry little piece of fabric as well, which we'll just rough up a little bit more. Gives texture. Lovely. Now, I wonder if we maybe stitch down. See, these are little bits left from when I did the stem on this flower here, and then I laid a little bit of gold next to it. So I'm thinking I might couch that on and then come back and do some leaves in that yarn. So let's, I've got to keep an eye on the time too. So I'm just laying that down, and then using my crochet cotton, I'm going to couch that in position. So there's a couple little stitches. Up the top here. Then I'll fiddle around with it a little bit more. I might even twist it a little bit. You could plait it, would be a nice effect. So let's twist it, and I'm going to sit it just on the side of that Ada cloth scrap that we first put on, and then just couch over the top. So that's where you come up either side of the yarn and secure it down. I think the more little details that you do like this, the more interesting your tag looks, because you want the person getting it to spend a moment looking and seeing, and the more they look, the more they see, and they can sort of enjoy the textures, the little stitches. That's what slow stitch is all about. It's the little details, isn't it? And when we get to the beading stage, that's when it really comes to life. And, you know, we could run a little line of beads along the side of our stem if we wanted. That first tag that we did, this one here, I got visions of little beads being attached to the top edge of that flower. I haven't done that before, or French knots, but we'll get to that. Let's just get our feature flower in position. So I've got 2 now on the go. And then we'll come back in the next video and we'll keep working on our 2 tags we've got here. We won't go too far ahead because it just gets confusing otherwise, and we're creating a lot of work for ourselves. So let's now just focus on these 2. These are great because they're templates ready to go. So these 2 will become our pieces. Now I'll just trim that off. I'm going to stop the video now because if my math is correct, we're pretty close to the hour, if not on it. And I believe we've got ourselves moving along nicely with our 2 tags. We've got something coming along. So I'll come back in the next video and we'll work on a leaf formation for this guy, and then we can start on the understory. So picture this as your big tree, and then we start building up from there. So I will leave you in peace now, and see you in the next video where we carry on with these little tags. Okay, bye for now.